So we have a video. I'm not wearing a shirt. Give me a second. Alright, that's a lot better. It is, but it isn't. We have a video today, and the person is. I'm just gonna read the whole thing out loud. I'm looking for advice. I owe $65,000 on my house that's worth $250,000 max. I was recently laid off, but my significant other is still working, making $55,000 a year, and the house payment is $700 a month. That's great. I wanted to sell years ago, but due to the housing market crash, it was only worth what I owed at the time. I guess that's the $65,000, or probably at the time. She's talking about 2008. Let me just finish reading first. I've been stuck fixing up the house for 14 years, so it might have been 2008, which is very poor condition when I inherited it, and it's finally pretty livable now, but not where it needs to be. I feel like the house has been a prison of my youth because I didn't feel like I could really have friends over or share my life with people because of the condition of the house. This is pretty much the ideal time to sell it, but part of me thinks I could just pay it off faster and have no mortgage if I hold on to it. The other part of me is concerned that the market could crash again because of all this COVID stuff. The market did actually crash. And then I would be stuck here forever. Should I sell or should I stay? It's a good question. She left an edit. If I sell, I will probably live with my mom until I get another job and then find a house. The other thing is that the house was my dad's. That's very important. And it was also too much for him. Was he doing it alone? Before he died, I told him that and asked why he doesn't sell it. He told me because of grandchildren. I was 19 at the time, so I thought he was crazy, but I basically raised my kids here, so it is very sentimental since I grew up here. I'm just very torn. It's a great question. Great question. All right, so the house, you only owe $65,000 left in the house. Let me find a calculator real quick. So I just want to know what percentage that is that's remaining. But as I'm typing this all into my calculator, 65,000 divided by 250,000. So you have less than a quarter, like just around a quarter of the value of the house left, 0.26%, so a little bit more than a quarter of the house left. Wow, that's like a really far way to come to begin with. And then to still be having issues with whether or not you don't know whether you want to keep the house or not. It really sounds like you are personally dealing with internal issues, quite honestly. You have a spouse, so ultimately if he's the one working, it's going to be his decision or a mutual decision that you both make. But I don't really know how detached you are from the rest of us out here, because $700 is a great monthly amount for living. If you're thinking about renting somewhere for the same amount, you're not going to be able to. I'm not quite sure where you're from, unfortunately, but I know that no matter where you are in the United States, if you're looking to find rent below $700 a month, you're going to struggle. Or you're going to have somewhere with barely any amenities. If you think your place is bad, if you knew the equivalent for $700 a month or less where you would be living, you would have greater appreciation for your home. And that's what I mean, like it sounds like you have some internal issues. It sounds like, yes, it's a financial question, but a lot of money and a lot of finances is honestly psychological. It has a lot to do with personal confidence, and it has a lot to do with just our personal appreciation of where we're at, you know? It seems like rough time-wise in a year, you wouldn't be able to pay it off, but $700 a month, especially since it's leading to you being able to pay off the whole house times 12, that's nothing. That's for 700. If your husband's probably ripping his hair out of his skull, and you're probably just looking for advice to use against your husband as to why you should get rid of the house. It's your family's house, so I guess you kind of moved into where you've been for quite a while. It's a very natural impulse to want to travel, to want to see other things and have other sites. But if you're only spending about $8,400 a year, $8,400 a year on housing, you can just buy another house. You didn't talk about any other expenses. You didn't really discuss nothing else that you're really going through. So if the house is the only financial problem that you don't have a real financial problem. And it seems like you may not really be aware of how good your situation is to begin with, to really have this be such a mental strain and emotional strain on you. It sounds like you're really putting this burden on yourself. You thought you had a bright idea when you were 19 years old. Every single person on earth has. It seems like you've wanted to get rid of this house since you were 19 years old. It seems like you keep blaming the house for you not having friends over, but it just seems like you don't like your house. So you're not gonna have a financial answer to this because it's not a rational thing that you're going through anymore. The rational thing to do would be just be very thankful and very grateful for what you have, and then just buy another house. So I guess let's discuss that real quick. Let's just discuss you buying another house. Okay? So if you would put away, you wouldn't be able to put away the same amount and be able to buy a house, unfortunately. You would also be kind of starting over from ground zero. But even if you're just going with the $55,000, let's say you save about 10%. Let's just see how much that's going to cost you first to finish off. Hold on. Let's do 8,400, or rather 65,000 divided by 8,400. That'll give you a better baseline of what you're working with. So right now, at the rate that you're at, if you don't pay over for your mortgage, you just pay the same amount. You have about 7.7. You have about 8 years left, until your mortgage is finished. You have kids now that you basically raised in the house, so that would make some sense. So we're looking at about 8 years. 55 times about 10%. 10% is like the bare minimum, quite honestly. Times 8. 44,000 is a good amount to save up for a down payment for a house. Let's say you were a bit more aggressive with that single income, and this is with one income. This doesn't even include you working as well. So 0.2, that's a little bit more aggressive. Times 8, $88,000. So in the same amount of time it would take you to pay off your house, if you just saved an equal amount, even if you saved, let's just look at how much you would save with what, if you just doubled what you're doing, if you just doubled your mortgage times 8, it's all around the same. You'll be saving about $44,000, about $67,000 you would have saved up if you just put away about 10%, 20%, 25% of your husband's monthly income, significant other's monthly income. It doesn't specify spouse, it just says SO, significant other. You would have a good amount of money. So you're talking about moving back in with your mom. Where's your mom at currently? If the house was your father's, you have a significant other, and you want to get rid of your dad's house, I really think, because like the core of most of our financial issues are just ourselves, it really sounds like you are personally going through something. And if you just lost your job, that's very impactful and very significant. That's a very big deal for you and you alone. But you losing your job it's not the end of the world. It's not going to be the hardest thing for you to overcome the loss of a job. It's not going to be the hardest thing for you to overcome and find a new job or find a better job and be able to match your partner's income or do something of equal value at the home. Because even with $55,000, despite what many people are telling you, you can live a great life with $55,000 a year, especially if your housing is only $8,400. I wish my housing was $8,400. Fuck, that's amazing. That's incredible. It really is. It's incredible. I wish I could put it in a different perspective or a different lighter way for you. And I guess I can. But I would say keep the fucking house. You don't have to live in it. You can rent it out. You can rent out that you can keep the house, continue fixing it up. That might be a thing, is how much is it costing you all to fix up the house annually. But with that, I would tell you that you just need an annual house repair. I call it home improvement regimen, house repair regimen, home improvement regimen. So every single year, you're doing something to the home or a few things on the home every quarter to fix the home up. Put a little money aside from that. What you're eventually going to get in your equity, if you've been paying all that up, you should have a lot more in equity what you're going to lose if you sell the house. So right now, your equity should be sitting at about $185,000. I don't know why you would give that up. Maybe you didn't look into the equity or getting a home equity loan or something of that nature. But you'd be giving up a lot of money to sell the home. And quite honestly, real estate, it's very up and down. But it's a business that's low key for psychopaths. Sorry, low key it is. Low key it's for psychopaths. A home is a very sentimental move. A home, and that move isn't just moving into the home or like just a decision. It's a very sentimental, very emotional, very comfort driven decision that you're making for quite literally about 5 to 30 years of your life, because that's how long a mortgage typically lasts, you know? So if it's something that you want to do, you don't have to try to justify it numerically. You're going to have to come to grips with your own personal emotions of it. I'll give you an anecdote, and I'll probably kind of end it like this, because I'll just sum it up real quick. You really shouldn't sell the house. Keep the house, pay off the mortgage, and within 8 years, fuck it, quite honestly, figure out how far you are from a college, quite honestly, and have some college kids live there. You know, college kids need a place to stay for about 4 years, at least 2 years. So every 2 years or so for the next 8 years, so you'll go through about 4 families or so, or 4 groups of college kids that you're renting the house out to. If you rent it out to a fraternity, set some heavy ground rules. But for 8 years, a fraternity can take over the home, or a sorority for that matter, and they'll live in it. They'll help you fix it up. And then you can do the home repairs while they're living there, do the home repairs over the summer months or so when they're back home visiting their family, or there's not as many people living there. Or just have a few responsible college kids or some athletes live there. You know, you can rent the house out. You having and owning a home and being able to have a mortgage and say that is a big step in itself. And you should really count your blessings. But like I said, I'm just going to finish this off real quick with an anecdote. We sold my family home. It was definitely after the market crash, because I was in college at that time. But it's when most people were recovering from the market crash. We're a black family selling a home within a white neighborhood, and the rumors are and the myths are that black homes don't sell for the same price as white homes, which is reality, because I think the home ended up selling for about $500,000 or so, about $500,000. But a house up the street that didn't do any of the repairs that my mother did none of the work that my mother did, sold for about $200,000 more. Not $20,000, $200,000 more, just because it was a white family, quite honestly. Now it's 2020, and my mom kicks herself in the butt saying I should have kept the house because then I wouldn't have to deal with this. I think currently, and I can think about the kind of house that you have, because my family had a second house that we lost, and another kick yourself in the ass moment. We lost the house, had it in the family for about 14 years, about the same amount of time that you had this house, $700 a month in mortgage, and we lost it because my dad just wasn't paying the mortgage. For whatever reason it was, he had the money. That's kicking the ass. He was working. He made way more than that every single month. He had enough money to spend, and he just wasn't paying the taxes, wasn't paying the mortgage. So at the end of the day, there was a lien taken out against the home. He lost ownership of it. Yeah, tearjerker right there. So that's 2 major real estate mistakes that my parents made in their lifetime that I'm never going to make again. Because it's better for you to just keep the home and have ownership, and you don't have to freaking live there. Isn't that amazing? So you don't lose any of the hard work of fixing the house up. You don't lose any of the finances of working on the home, but you get to still keep the house, and then the house can pay itself off. You can even charge someone more than $700 a month to live in the house. You can charge them $1,000 a month. $700 is going to take care of the mortgage. $300 goes into your pocket for you to do whatever the hell you feel like doing every single month. And then you can live wherever you want to live. You can go travel. You can go live your life. Your husband would probably still have to work because $300 in your pocket isn't really that much. But I would say $300 in your pocket would probably be covering a little bit what you would have been making without having a job. So if you two want to move somewhere else, if the kids are old enough, charge the kids. I'm not saying that to be heartless or saying that to be rude, but to keep it in the family, maybe charge the kids. And if the kids don't want to live there, you don't want to live there, find some people that are looking, because people are looking for houses. You got 48 million people about to be evicted or have been evicted, and you're worrying about whether or not you're going to keep a house that's been in your family for over a decade? That's a little weird. I feel like the root of this problem, count your blessings, be very happy for what you have, and if you don't want it, keep it in your family, keep it in your name, charge someone else to live there. That'll be my best advice for you. But continue fixing it up, keep the house in there, and that would be the best decision, because then you don't have to go through the whole process and the whole issues of selling the home and not getting the full value of the home, because they'll be very sad and very heartbreaking, and it does happen to a good amount of people. But you can start profiting on the home as well, and there's no issue with that at all. If you want to charge more than $1,000 a month, it's your right. You can do that if you feel like it, because of the sentimentality of it. Think about how much more money that you really need, but make sure that they're at least covering the price of mortgage. And for the next 8 years, if you don't want to live there, get a hotel room or something and just rent it out. Don't sell it, but rent it. Do something else other than sell the house. Because I would hate to see someone else give up a home, especially if it was your father's and he passed it on to you, and now you get to pass it on, and then you're the one that sells it like a fucking idiot. And now where do your kids stay in a decade? That's exactly what happened to us. I ended up having a kid. My sister had 2 kids. And the house that we grew up in, that we thought was going to be there forever because we never thought my mom would actually sell it, would have been perfect for everybody. It had enough room for everybody. We had about a room in the attic, 3 rooms on the 2nd floor. The 1st floor was like a nice little family space. I'm just trying to remember the homes. It's been a while since I've even been inside of it. It's been probably nearly a decade since I've been inside the house. And then the basement was like a family room / a bedroom. Could have been a bedroom if you really wanted it to be. So it's like 5 fucking bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. You know, you really can't go wrong with something like that. You really can't. A wonderful kitchen that they remodeled. She did a bunch of repairs in the home as well. Had a garage. You can convert the garages into bedrooms now if you really want to. Garage is big enough to fit her car inside of it. Guess what? We can't even fix it. We live together now after that fiasco. And he can't even fit the car in the goddamn garage. You know? Small things, pet peeves. But strongly consider keeping your house, because why the fuck not? If it's barely costing you any money, if average rent is more than a minimum wage, like salary, keep your house and live in something that's $700 and just keep fixing it up. Get over whatever personal anxiety that you have, and just invite people over your. I see people going over to some disgusting houses in disgusting areas. Don't be so self-conscious about where you live. Because if people are coming over to your house, they're coming over for you. They're not coming over for the scenery, you know? So maybe have some internal value for that, or just find some better friends.